I'm Emma Easterbrook and this is Practicing Human 360 Health. My guest today is Tina Meller. She's a Humanistic Integrative Counsellor. She also offers EMDR technique. She worked in an SEN school and she's worked in a hospice. She's got her own private practice and she lights up every room when she walks in. She's absolutely fabulous. You're going to love her. Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for doing this, Tina.
Thank you. Lovely to have you. Happy to have me even. Have me in the room. Thank you. It's nice of you to invite me.
Oh no, well, I couldn't not do it with you. You were literally on my list when I was doing the podcast
down?
I do.
Honestly, how far down?
I think actually, if I'm being honest, I think you were number 3.
Oh, okay.
I could look at the original list
I don't even want to know about 1 or 2.
Was it first the worst, second the best, third one with a hairy chest?
We weren't ever going to talk about that, but okay. Okay.
Oh no,
I'll take it. I'll take it. 3's okay. I'll take it.
Thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate it. Can you explain to everyone listening and to me what a Humanistic Integrative Counsellor is, please?
Okay. So humanistic basically means person-centred. Mm-hmm. So it's led by the client. Mm-hmm. It's basically accepting that the client knows the best thing for them. So it's not me leading it, my advice, it's not advice giving or direction. It comes into that in different ways later with patterns and things like that. But the whole idea is that the client sitting in front of you knows what's best for them, knows what they need to move on and work with whatever's holding them back. So
is it sort of like when you're opposite someone, is it almost like a mirroring effect? So
totally. It's one of the main skills is reflection.
Okay.
If we reflect, we're sitting, almost reflecting how we're sitting here, reflecting people's words, reflecting and noticing their body language is basically a really basic skill to help people feel heard. And I think that's the base of it. We all think we sit and listen to each other, but we tend to have our own dialogue going on underneath. By having that 50-minute session, no distractions, 2 people sitting in a little bit like this. You know, the idea is how many times you do that with your phone off, that you've agreed to do it. And the idea is that the therapist is hearing what that person said. So you're listening not just to the words, but the way that they say them, the way they present themselves. Language is powerful, words that people use, and making no assumptions of your own about what those words mean. So it's the integration bit that you asked previously. There's an integration of theories with the work that I do, but there's also an integration of self. So any counsellor working in the way that I do, we've had to do the work on ourselves to know if we're bringing any of our stuff into that room, to be able to park that, to be able to hear that person, fully see the world through their lens.
Yeah. And I guess that's got to be quite a skill, because I know that you treat children, adults, all different across society, isn't it? You know, the people that you deal with. So that's quite a skill to be able to switch off, I guess any sort of judgment or any, the lens of just looking at them as a human being.
It takes time. I think any of us judge. We walk in, I said to you, fantastic pair of shoes, or
they
look great, or whatever. So we judge. We're always going to do that, and it's teaching how we judge automatically. We do it socially. We do it. Do we feel? It's basically like animals. Do we feel safe? Is there similarities I can see in this person, so I feel comfortable?
Yeah.
Do I then make assumptions that we're the same?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're sitting in front of someone that's very different, you're having to work and understand what that difference is for them.
Yeah. So
there is a lot of work you have to do. I think I said to you, I teach at a training college as well.
Yeah.
And part of our training, the students, and as I had to do, you have therapy next to your, running alongside your course.
Right.
So you experience therapy on the other side.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one to see, and it is everybody uses the word journey.
Yes.
Everyone puts it in inverted commas and go, that's a little cringe. It's a process, and again, that word process, all these words get thrown around, but it is something. Watching the students has been really healthy for me to remember those different plate spinning bits. That bit sort of works, and then you take some of the bit from your private therapy and it goes into your family, and it all goes a bit sticky for a while, and then it moves over there, and then in the college you're trying the skills out, and it's like driving a car. You're working towards doing it without realising you're doing it.
Yeah.
But we have to keep going to refresher lessons, if you like.
Yeah, and it's recognising those things, I guess, isn't it? And it's being totally aware of them. And it must make you look at the world in a different way as well when you've been taught that skill.
Yes and no. I suppose what it does is it's what I've had to accept is you and I sit and natter. You've not asked me to come and speak to you as a therapist, so I park that part of me. If you ask me any questions, we've talked before, haven't we? We've talked about loss, we've talked about grief, so I'm happy to psychoeducate, if you like, and things that I've learned that way. And I can sit quietly and think, well, I think it's because of that, but if nobody's asking me the opinion, I think that's where you can really easily lose friends. If you can step in and go, well, I really think that what have you looked at, and what I'm hearing here is not helpful, I don't think, in that arena. But if people ask you, I'm more than happy to share my understanding. And it's the same with clients. You offer. All you do is offer an understanding of something, and then being humanistic is for that person, whether they pick it up and run with it or not.
And why do you think, so what are the main reasons that people would come to see you?
Oh gosh. People come for all sorts of reasons. People come, when I worked at the hospice, obviously it was pretty understandable. It's coming for loss, it's coming for end of life care. It's the patients and the family members. I've, as you know, I haven't worked there for a while. I'm hoping to go back and do some of the EMDR work there in the next couple of months. The boys at the school where I worked, and that was my first placement, because you have to do placements to get our clinical hours to qualify. There could be anger issues, that could be all sorts of stuff going on, but actually sometimes it's just somewhere, a little space that's theirs at that age, a little space that's just theirs. You asked what it's like working with different age groups. Yeah. That age group, it's about, I'm not their mum, I'm not their teacher, I'm not their social worker, I'm none of those things. So it takes time for a younger person to realise there's no judgment. I'm trying to see what it looks like. I'm trying to sit next to you and see what the world looks like for you. So
I guess they feel like they're getting ready to be sort of told off or judged in some way. So it's learning that you are just there. It takes some time.
So some of these people are not making any sort of like general judgments, but for some to be in some of the schools, they come with quite a big file for various reasons, whether that's social reasons, whether that's family reasons, whether that's medical reasons or whatever. And it's really easy to sort of look at the file and a little boy walks in the door. And sometimes you say, it says here that you've been diagnosed with X, Y or Z. I don't work with mental health as such. We work more with the emotional side. And I'll ask them, so what do you understand by that? And you've got a 7-year-old going, I don't know, he's got more letters after his name than a professor because somebody somewhere, and they're used to, unfortunately for some, they sit and you can hear them, it's like by rote as they talk to you about their life because they've told so many people. So it's trying to...
So I guess it numbs it,
I think it's just that bit, it's the language they use. And you have to sort of remind yourself that you're looking at a 7 or an 8-year-old, and they're using language that they've obviously... And just as you said it, they say it by rote. It's like, and then da-da-da-da, and blah, 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 and it's like, so, okay, so it's just... That takes time for a relationship to build, that you say you're going to do what you're going to do, and it's really important that everything's completely clear to them. If I know anything about them or that's going to happen, I need them to know that I know that, so that there's never that little crossover.
What was that that 3-part program that was on? Adolescence. Did you draw parallels to that with the people, some of the kids that you'd spoken and met?
I think the lady that was in it, I'm not sure, I don't want to get this together. I think she was a psychologist, which they clinically diagnose. We don't diagnose.
Okay.
So we can work with people to a certain level, but ours would be, I think she was looking to write reports, and it was more about sort of assessing where he was at. And I felt there was, I know she was an actress, and I wouldn't, I don't know the exact details of it. There was a lot of shock factor, I think, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Within that relationship. Yeah. And I think it's that. Sometimes it's realising, I've had boys before now, and they're trying to goad you. They're trying to get anger out. They're trying to get something going. And now, if you've done enough work on yourself, it's like, why do they need me angry? What's going on? Or the simple question is, what normally happens when you do this?
So is that again that reflective thing you're talking about?
Yeah, you're curious. You're curious about what's happening to them. What we're trying to do each time, if you like, by working on yourself and making sure that you keep yourself in a good balance is that you're modelling that to your client. And with younger people, it's almost vital. You know, you can't get pulled out of shape if you've got some kid swearing at you, or, you know, you set a boundary to begin with. You set some rules together. I'll respect you fully. As long as, you know, we respect each other. We're two people meeting in this room. There's not any hierarchy. You know, you accept that there's certain things, and we never lock. You know, you say to them, the door's not locked. You want to go? You go. You don't. Nobody's going to make. So sometimes, honestly, if you get ones to stay and come back each time, you think, okay, something's happening. You know, you might not have been doing anything mind-blowing, but something is happening because nobody's making them come.
No.
And it's the little nuance. It's like as when they got to a certain age, we didn't go and find them in the classroom and bring them in. We'd have to sort of gently say to the teaching staff, I know it's on their timetable, but we need them wanting to come.
Well, I guess it's building responsibility and giving them a safe place, isn't it? Which is private. Yep. You know, obviously within reason, because if they were wanting to harm themselves or someone else, you would have to report
it's
that.
one of the main confidentiality across the board.
Yeah.
You know, it's a safe space. I think it's terrorism, money laundering. Yeah. The other couple ones we've obviously got to be mindful of. Yeah. But yeah, it's harm for self or others. And they are aware of that. But what we actually try to do, and again, I've not worked there for a while, so I know it's changed quite significantly. But the way the unit was run is we, for example, we didn't go and have coffee with the teachers in the coffee room, or actually be in the general.
Because that could influence.
Do you know what it was more? Again, and I am a bit of a purist with this. It's the subtlety of a boy that you've worked with, and you're suddenly chatting or whatever with a teacher that they may have a good or a bad relationship. If you've got stuff going on, what are they talking about?
Yeah,
and at that age,
paranoia.
It's potentially going to be, might be me, what they said. I saw you with X or Y.
Yeah.
You know, when I first started, I don't mind telling you, I'm going to go, which car's yours? Which is your car outside? And I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm going to key it. There's going to be this, something's going to happen. And speaking to my supervisor, who was the clinical lead there, understanding it's hypervigilance. There's, for some of these people, young people, they just need to know as many facts as they can about you. Yeah. You know, it's that we try not to disclose too much about ourselves, but, you know, they're like, do you have kids? Do you do this with your kids? Do you think this is okay? Oh, you're married. You know, all of those things, it's like, and when you start, you're like, God, I'm not supposed to tell them anything. Yeah. I can't tell them anything. But as you get more comfortable with yourself, and as you know, I've got a practice that I work from home. That's my home.
I was going to ask you about your private practice now. So obviously you're not working with the SEN boys now.
I have some private ones come in for various things if people see the profile. Yeah. So I do work. I don't, you know, neurodiversity is you know, so well documented and people come for various things. So I still do work in that, but not within a school setting anymore.
Yeah, and it's not your focus in particular now.
No, not necessarily.
So with your private practice, what do you know? I guess I'm guessing, and this is completely me making a judgment.
Guess away. That
you get a lot of women our sort of age coming to see you.
No.
No. Oh.
No.
Oh.
What's that noise? Oh,
I say. So what sort of what do people come to you for?
You know, it's interesting because I work. So I'm going to add on my I work as a supervisor as well. So I supervise other counsellors.
Yeah. Well, we've spoken about this. Quite interesting.
Some of them are really, really good at the marketing. You know, they've got the fantastic photographs. My kids took a picture on my phone.
Well, I said
I can't bear it. It makes me cringe.
You needed to get my tabby to take professional photographs.
Maybe at some point. But then you see, I've worked with somebody. She's gorgeous. I mean, absolutely stunning. But she then sort of like had a big. I'm sort of conscious I'm veering on subject here, but had a big sort of London company wanting her to use her up there for all, you know, for one of the big city things. And I'm like, you know, when you just like, be careful. There's this sort of archetypal bit of, you know, because if you've got a young therapist, you've got a good looking young therapist, that is going to come into the room. Yeah. If you see what I mean. Yeah. You asked originally about women of a certain age, whether it's women of a certain. I would say to you honestly, the way I've worked is I have to guard myself more to work better there, to make no assumptions. It's too easy to do a classic eye roll at something. Yeah. You know, and that's what we're looking at, the nuance of that. An eye roll tells 1,000 stories. You mean, you saw it with the the Trump thing recently. I think it was the Italian prime minister or whatever her name is, and she's eye rolling at Mr. People read into those things. So in some ways, if you've got somebody who's really different, the work, you're interested in those differences. If you've got somebody who's really similar, you've just got to not make those assumptions. So I have a range. If you're asking what the range is, that's
setting trauma aside, because we're going to talk about EMDR separately and trauma separately. But generally speaking, what do most human beings worry about? What are they getting depressed about, feeling anxious about? What's it?
Blimey, it's a big one. And I have to be really straight with you. Everybody's different. What makes you happy, what makes me happy, doesn't make someone else happy. So people hit walls, whether that is a life event or it's a pattern that just keeps repeating itself.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
For some people, a pattern just keeps repeating, whether that's a relationship pattern or a feeling within them that just, and it's crystallizing it all back into potentially not good enough. Or I'm unlovable, or any of those sorts of things, and some get stuck in various places. So, we can look at sort of developmental stages, sort of like the Freud, different levels of what you do at different points. And the idea being is if some of that's not transversed healthily, it's sort of, I always think of it like a stack of coins. It just knocks the coin stack out to the side so it can wobble you further up. Yeah. And if you can identify that, you can work on that, whether that was at certain ages of what went on, timelines then about whether maybe dad was ill or mum was ill or there was issues going on within the family, can impact how somebody has then worked through that level of development. That's why that age group, the younger age group, you've got to look at where they are developmentally, as well as anything else. Hence me saying you've got a little boy going, and then I found, talking to you like he's a 35-year-old social worker and you're looking at a 7-year-old.
Well, I guess it's who you are within your family unit, if you have a family unit as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really, and people work within that. There are different sort of like therapies that work specifically in the family structure. I mean, I've had experience of people where, depending on where they sit in that family structure, if there has been levels of abuse, whether there's been addictions of various stages, often, not always, but the older child can protect so that the younger ones may have a different idea of what that looked like, whereas the older one has taken on that caring role, that parent role. And when do they then, if they've taken it on at such a young age, when do they rebel? When do they have it when it's about them? When do they think that's who they are? And what can happen later on, keep doing that, sorry. What can happen later on is that they choose relationships where they take that same role. Yeah. And then they just get to a point where they're just like, oh, I'm done. Yeah. Like what? And a lot of the time it's really simple interjections from somebody like myself that says, well, what about you? Yeah. And they go, sorry, what?
I guess it's looking at things in a different way, from a different perspective, isn't it?
How is that going for, when people say, well, I've always done this, how's that going for you?
I want to talk to you about EMDR, and I'm really interested because, as you know, as we've discussed, this podcast series is about what I call 360 health. So therefore, everything we consume has an effect on our health, be it what we eat, what we watch, what we see, who we hang out with, any medications we take, what we put on our skin topically, whatever it may be. And there seems to be a common theme with, because I'm interested in biohacking, which is oxidative stress. So, yes. So what happens, my understanding of it, is that mentally and emotionally you can be on fight or flight. So that increases cortisol, increases adrenaline.
Or freeze.
Right, okay.
Yep.
And then, so you've got the oxidative stress, that leads to inflammation, which leads to mentally and emotionally anxiety, poor sleep, depression, etc., which, and inflammation within the body can lead to disease, and just being unwell, generally unwell. And what I've heard is that trauma can get trapped in the body, and you can release that with breath work. I've spoken to somebody about that, and I know you can release it with EMDR, and only because you have told me that. So what I want to ask you is, in simple terms, can you just reevaluate what I've just said and make it into your speak? Okay. And also, can you explain to us in simple terms what EMDR is?
Okay. So full disclosure, I'm on a beginner journey. Because I'm an accredited counsellor, I am deemed competent to practice, but I've still got some more training to do on that. So I am working with clients, but trying to keep it not high end at the moment. I think the inflammation thing and the whole thing with gut health and inflammation and the word trauma is thrown around everywhere. So another word for trauma is wound. It's basically a wound that's happened somewhere along the line. The way that we look at that in as much as if it's something that just keeps, you'd say to somebody, what's got the most heat for you? And it tends to be something that comes back. And it will be things when people are talking about something really, they think they're talking about another breakup or issues with their self-esteem. And as you start unpicking and unpacking about their child and getting an idea of who they are and what their support network is, you can ask them something and they will remember a scenario that is as clear as it was yesterday. But then they go, oh, but it was fine. But their body and their cells have remembered that.
And I guess they remember that in detail.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like pinpoint. I mean, at its purest, PTSD that everybody talks about, post-traumatic stress disorder, the whole system, reverts to the feeling that was of, as you said, fight, flight or freeze. So you get a rush of all of those things within your body. So classic would be your veterans. That we all see that on, there's been TV programs and movies and everything else about the hero's car and boom, they're there, they're back in that. And they actually are, because their body is telling them, we got to get going. Yeah. One way or the other. And they can't see anything. And what it does is it's basically the lizard part of the brain takes in, everything else shuts off.
What's the lizard part?
So it's the oldest part of our brain, if you like. You said fight, flight or freeze. It's that oldest part that sits there and says, right, I can't do the social bit. I can't do any of that. I've got to shut in and keep myself alive. I mean, I think the human brain is just phenomenal. It does that to protect us. So if you've had somebody that has had abuse of any description, various things on there, the brain goes, vroom, what do I need to do to keep safe, to keep alive? Yeah. That's it. And for a lot of people in those situations, if there's attacks like that, they freeze. That then brings a load of stuff later on that they feel different things, I should have this, I should have that, I should have the other, which the shoulds tend to be other people's stuff coming in. Yeah.
So I guess what you mean by that, so say somebody was a bit heavy, but say somebody was a victim of rape and they froze, and then if they told other people, they said, why didn't you do this, why didn't you do that? And that's what you're talking about.
A lot of the time.
Right, okay.
This is the thing, working in that with people after have been going through that they bring in enough guilt and shame in the room for themselves. Yeah. So it's a case, I mean, working with shame is a huge one about where that comes from. And what the other problem being is that when people have had a horrible experience like that, sleep is not, you and I said, they go, you need sleep to clinic, you do that. Yeah. It's where the nightmares come, it's where the flashbacks come, it's where all of those things happen. That being said, she said beautifully segue into EMDR, but that's also where if you can sleep, is where this REM, your rapid eye movement happens, which allows you to it allows your brain to process that trauma. It allows everything else to start regulating. Sleep, as we know, is one of the biggest ones to heal.
It's a reset, isn't it?
Totally. Yeah. But if people are feeling like crap about themselves, and I'm sitting there going, oh, you need to eat organically and you need to sleep well. It's unfortunately it's got to work with the other stuff because they don't feel they're worth that effort to eat well. They don't see they're worth that effort to go for a walk or worth that effort to do, and they avoid the sleep. So the inflammation and everything you spoke about just compounds. It all just compounds, and then there is IBS and there's the anxiety kicks up and depression. All of those things,
And also team that with women our sort of age that are going through menopause, and you've got a load of stuff going on, haven't you?
Teenagers as well would say, and women of a certain. And the medical profession are fantastic, and they're there to help us. And we go with a list of ailments, and you've got depression and anxiety are what we call comorbid, so they've got the same list of sort of ailments. So there's medication, and I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not against medication at all, but it then means that people, especially if they've been very young and they've gone on those things, it becomes something that they've used, to find them underneath that sometimes. They've, obviously chemicals, lots of times are incredibly useful, but it's working that through for the individual. Yeah. and trying to say to a traumatized, teenager or whatever, you just need to sleep a bit more. You're also talking to a teenager that doesn't want to go to sleep, that doesn't want to do those things. So it's trying to find the balance. She said and the EMDR, the way that works, eye movement, desensitization and reprogram. It's all a bit of a mouthful.
So what does it look like? What would a person do?
My kids like to take the mickey out. Are you going to do your stuff? They're like this with me, which is very rude. And I've got some things which work better online, which do look bizarre, like pointer sticks and stuff. Yeah. The basis behind it is that you said about the body, that there's a fantastic book called The Body Keeps Score. It's worth looking
came
through.
Up in a different podcast I did, yeah.
Fantastic if you look through that. And if you think about people, if they've cared for someone for months and they've got through it all and they've got to the, they've got through everything, they've looked after everybody, everything stops and bang, they suddenly become, I don't know, I think as mums we all used to do it after holidays. Sometimes we're like, I've got flu now. Yeah. Like, you need to leave me alone or your back goes or whatever.
Yeah.
So the idea is that you've had a wound. Again, the word trauma likes to be flown around, but there's a wound there somewhere. Mm-hmm. And with EMDR, you take a good history. You need to know what's gone on for somebody. So psychologists that practice this will have people specifically assessed and moved in to do that work, which is all the people I trained with, interestingly. Whereas I, as a therapist, being humanistic, it's like, it's introducing it, making sure it's not something I just want to do, and it's going to be useful in it. And what helped me with that was somebody saying to me, well, if you've got an intervention that may help someone, surely you offer it. So that it's, again, like everything, you offer it. Yeah. And people have heard bits and pieces about it. So basically the idea is that we have this wound. We have a wound there that is still relevant to us from the past. And it's infringing and impinging on our future and how we see ourselves in the present. We've got everything in the present that fixes that, if you like. I'm not in that space anymore. They can't get hold of me. There's no, that I'm all right, or I am worthy. I have got my family. So you've got your present here and your past here. What we're trying to do, the link's just missing. Yeah. So it's very different for me because I have to have a script to make sure I do it properly, to make sure, we read through it very carefully about and explain to people how it is. And what we try and ask them to do is what is your negative cognition about yourself? And plucking one, I don't know, somebody might say, what is it she said? I'm unsafe. I feel unsafe. You take it all through. It's all of these things. This happened and that. So what do you actually feel? I feel unsafe. So the positive cognition is, I know I'm safe. I'm not in that situation anymore. I've got people around me. I can do something about this. So the two are sort of sitting like this. When we ask them when the negative cognition is what's going on in the body, what's happening with you, we get a score off of them. Where is the disruption? Where is that happening? What's going on for you physically? But
and
also,
what could that be?
For people will say to you, I can feel a real tightness in my chest, or I feel a weight in my chest. Okay. My shoulders are really tight. I can feel I'm right up here. And we, we're talking about the very beginning about watching people. You see it. People will be twiddling. They'll be holding. There'll be lots going on that you can see as a visual. You're also asking them, as you picture that scene, how you feel there, sort of how true is that positive to you? And we change the sort of levels that we judge that in. This is, it's one of those studies, it's one of those therapies that's had so much research done. So that's why the numbers are quite important to prove how it works, because it does feel a bit snake charmery when you first start. You're like, okay, I'm not quite sure about this. And basically, seeing where people are, where they sit with that. So, and then it's really, really simple, and you're going to laugh when I show you. What we're then asking them to do is we're going to say to them, I'm going to be moving my fingers or a pointer, or online people use sound things. You've probably seen people do butterfly taps.
Oh no, I haven't seen that. I've seen tapping.
They can be used. They're used for what we call like installing resources, which is another thing, but it's just nice and slowly. But we need some speed. We need there to get, some people can't follow with eyes, whether that's medically or whatever else, but that is the most powerful. If people can keep their head still and just follow the movement of the fingers. And none of us, all we're asking them to do is tell us what you notice. Yeah. So for me as a talker, it's great. Oh, that's right. And I say that to them. I'm going to be really brief. Just notice. We're not looking at, how do you feel and what's going. We're letting the brain, what the idea being is with that rapid eye movement, it allows the link to be made from that memory there to the present that you're sitting in. We've got one foot in the present and one foot in the past. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's a safety net, if you like.
Yeah.
It's got no homework. It's got less sort of, it's just a really, any of the studies are amazing. The Americans use it for their Veterans Society. That's their therapy, sort of full stop. And the way we describe it is as if you're on a train, you're just on the train and we're just watching the scenery go.
Okay.
So we're just seeing where your brain goes.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine, you start and people usually, I can't follow it. You're, okay, just take some time. It takes time for people to do that. And the quicker we can do this is the most powerful. So we'd literally, if it were you and I'd be sitting to the side of you and we would be using something for you to follow.
The patient or client would be talking about that trauma.
We ask them just to sit and watch.
Oh, okay.
And then all I say, just sit, just let it go. Just let the process happen. Basically, it starts firing things in, like you would in your sleep. Yeah. Where you jump all over the joint, don't you? Sometimes, I don't know where that went. Yeah. We just notice. That's where I think the brain's fascinating. Yeah. Just see where you go. See where you go.
This episode of Practicing Human 360 Health is sponsored by Star Treatment, my wellness clinic in Henfield in Sussex. I offer IV vitamin drips, B12 shots, skin boosters, advanced facial treatments and anti-wrinkle treatments. All designed to make you feel and look your absolute best. Check me out on Instagram at StarTreatment24. But so somebody comes to you for EMDR, they're sat in the chair, they're following the light. Yep. You've obviously spoken before about how they feel.
So we have good history. You need a good history. You need to understand where they are. You need people that have got support networks around them. You need people that are able to give you a positive cognition. Yeah. They're able to say, actually, no, that's not where I'm stuck with this. This is an issue I'm stuck with. So the idea is that they've got something within them that they do know what they've got. They do know it's not for me or anyone else to tell them that. They need to know that that's sitting there. We have to let them know that the processing continues. So we do sort of sets of 30. Yeah. Then it's like, what do you notice? Great, let's go again. Whatever you say. So you might say pink elephants. Great, let's go. We don't change. I'm not directing anywhere. We're just noticing where your brain goes. And the idea is that ultimately the brain will then connect in there. Well, I do know what I need to do. I do know what's happening there. And then we, as I said, at the end of the sessions, we check, where is it sitting with you? And often they're like, I don't feel it in my shoulders anymore. I can't feel. So it takes a while. Don't get me wrong. It's not like a sort of instant.
Just want to totally understand it. Okay. So is it concentrating the brain so you're not thinking about all the others? So is it silencing some noise in the brain?
It's silencing noise in some ways, but the idea is it's a bit like, you're walking along doing one thing and you're seeing that over there, so you feel safe. So it's keeping you safe. Saying that, depending on what people are remembering, they can become obviously deregulated. They can become, to start getting upset, or it's being able to explain that will happen. I'm right here. Let's keep going. And the idea is ultimately you sort of going like almost like accelerating through a tunnel. Yeah. Because they are safe, they're sitting with you, and we use things, for example, you don't use the word stop. We agree from the beginning that we only stop if the hand comes up. Because stop can have all sorts of different meanings for people at various stages. Yeah. And we're just noticing, I find it fascinating because you're literally saying, let's just trust your brain. Your brain is awesome because it's kept you safe and kept this stuff locked away for so long. It then brings out stuff that you've not, I haven't thought about that for ages. I didn't realise even it's okay. Well, so you're just noticing it. So you're not pulling it apart, you're just noticing.
Ultimately, it's making, so they had that traumatic experience and it happened, but you're not in that moment anymore. You just recognise it did happen, but you're just...
It's a bit like traditional sort of trauma therapy used to be more about repetition. Yeah. It was almost making it almost like a black and white cartoon story that you could talk about. So in the end you were sort of like over it. Oh, and then this happened and he followed me or she followed me and this, and you get to a point where so the idea with that is that your brain allows it to go from that front part of your brain where it's like, got to do stuff, to the filing cabinet. Oh, it's a horrible memory. You're not going to forget it. It's not, but you haven't got that drenching sensation. This, the efficacy of this is the fact that it shows it works more swiftly. There's no homework. There's nothing like that, and there's no sort of. I think what's really important for people with trauma, that you can't get it wrong. You can't get any of it wrong. Your brain's just going to go where it's going to go, and we'll just see where it goes. There's no Do you know what I mean? Just be curious about where it takes you.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about your time at the hospice.
Okay.
Because I think that is going to be really interesting for people to listen to. When you were at the hospice, you obviously dealt with the patients that were obviously at end of life, and you dealt with their families of varying ages and parts of the family. What would you say was what's your takeaway from that? What's your common theme that you found common to all of those people that were going through that? So, for instance, first of all, the patients that were at end of life. So, what is there a common theme that people spoke about? You know, that about their life or about what they thought about life.
I think if I'm honest, I was wondering where I was going to go with that when you were asking me that, and I think actually the truest thing I can say to you is people die how they live. Oh. So if you've had somebody who is positive and loving and generous and whatever, that tends to be who they are when they're dying. Tends to be how their families respond. What you get with some people, you know, if they've been mean and unkind and whatever, they don't suddenly change because they're dying.
So they don't find a peace?
No, because
that's
always.
That's our little Hollywood film, isn't it? Where you think that when people die that they're going to be at peace in some way.
And I think that's where, and I know there's been a lot of work in lots of different places about opening up, about talking about dying.
Yeah.
And about what it looks like. But it's difficult. It's easy for me to go on a personal one there, which I shan't. But, you know, it's difficult for realising that for some people it's like, you know, well, if somebody's dying, then therefore you can't say this and it can't, you know. And helping someone afterwards is often about allowing that whole person to be discussed. Because people can eulogise someone once they die.
The family of the people.
Anybody.
Yeah. So it's that whole you can't speak ill of the dead thing, isn't it?
They wouldn't want you to be upset.
Yeah.
There's a lovely one. Yeah. Well, he had a good life. That's another one. All of those things that people rattle out, I would say the biggest one, the reason I'm going to go back to the hospice is just having somewhere where you feel how you feel that day. And people would come in and go, oh, it's been a year, I should be better. And again, we've talked about this, but grief doesn't get any smaller.
No.
If you've lost someone that you love, it doesn't get any smaller. You learn what it is to live without them.
Yeah.
And they don't change. They don't, you know, none of that stuff changes. And you can, you know, there's that lovely, you know, you go from bargaining to accept, you know, to shock and you're supposed to go down the nice little list. That's bullshit. You go up and down and up and down and up and down, and you actually settle on acceptance at some point, and then you spring back up the other way. And 20 years later, you could still be sitting there going, I wish I'd taken her to the hospital earlier. I wish I'd, you know, it just keeps flowing around. You just learn to live without them. Yeah.
Well, I remember talking to you many years ago, and we talked about, you know, like we talk about everything, don't we, Tina? You know, but obviously when I had a loss in my life, and you said about, and it made so much sense to me, that you have that loss and there's that hole and it doesn't get any smaller. Nope. But what happens is you grow around it. And I remember you give me that analogy, and it really helped because that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's never going to be, it's never going to be a fantastic thing that you lost that person, is it? You know,
I mean, it's one of those. I mean, there was the person that actually wrote the whole thing of that. He lost a child and tried to put an extra one on the bottom of meaning, meaning towards that. And the course that I work on, it's humanistic and existential. Where do we sit in this world? Which I think is fascinating. You know, you've got to get people's mindset on that. Yeah, the reason we've always got on, we've both agreed we're half full. Cups. We've always been half full.
And we're the loudest cheerleaders for our children.
Well, there is that. Mine would love that. Yes, we're not talking children because of my baby boy leaving. We're not doing that one, are we? We're not doing that one. Aww. No, we're not. Stop it. Baby boy, 31. 6'1", 31. Sorry, Ollie.
No, but they'll always be our babies.
Well, but you know, what do I say? Well, I've lost it now. I've gone off to Ollie. What were you asking me?
Oh my God, I know now. God, that's
half full. Sorry, existential stuff. It's accepting that as well. Yeah. And I have to accept as a therapist that that's me. And I can be, and I know I'm like that as a tutor, probably a little bit like a supervisor. I can be a bit of a tigger. You know, I think life is, you know, we've had this conversation. My dog's bottoms can make me laugh as they walk in front of me. I can make myself laugh about anything.
Yeah.
But it's owning that sometimes, that, you know, I'm wanting to put, you know, and the hospice was one of the best places for me to learn. I'm not going to maybe be able to put a spin on this one. I'm not, you know, I've got to sit in where they're at. And I'd say that's where that was a bedrock for me with my work, was you've got to sit where people are at. There, witnessing what they feel.
That's another bit of advice that you gave me, because you said to me, because I was obviously supporting somebody else that was going through grief, and you said to me, it's not about saying, oh, well, I can't imagine how you must feel, because you can't imagine how a person must feel, because we're all individuals. It's sitting beside someone like Pooh Bear and saying, it's shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just shit.
Yeah.
You know, and that is just it. You know,
it's coming straight in there,
yeah.
being able to say, well, none of us wanted this. This is not what anybody wanted to be.
Yeah,
it's sort of where we are now.
Yeah,
you know, and it takes time. I mean, when you go in as a new therapist, they will never put you in front of people that are dying necessarily. It's called anticipatory grief, which I always find quite strange. Anticipatory grief. I don't know what it is about that word. It makes me feel, you know, you work with bereaved people that, you know, sort of just work you well into that, because if somebody is got end of life is coming, you've got to be potent with it. You've got to be not punchy, but you've got to be okay. So what do you want? You've got to know what your own sense of that is about.
I guess some people want that whole positivity, and some people just want that. And you've got to read the room, I guess, haven't you? I
think that's where the potency comes. You know, it's basically you learn over time to learn little phrases. And when I was a student, I remember hearing my tutors do it and think, I must write that down, that sounded really good.
Yeah.
And I hear them now saying that to me, which freaks me out slightly. But one of the great phrases...
No wonder, you're excellent.
Well, get me.
You're a brilliant brain.
You have no idea. But no, it is literally sitting there, and a great phrase to say, you've got somebody's, I don't know, if you like, their assessment in front of you, and you've got an idea of what's going on with them medically. I'm not medically trained, but you know, you get a bit of an idea of terminology and what's where and whatever. The only way you can do it is say, what's your understanding of your prognosis?
Yeah.
And someone will look you straight in the eye and go, well, it's a bit shit, innit? But somebody else will go, I'm going to beat this. So you're like, great, okay, that's where we're going. Yeah. You know, that's what you want. So what do you need from me? Yeah. Not, sure that you will. You know, do you know what that's not what it's about. It's about, where are you at right now with this? What do you need with this?
So with all of your experience of being in the hospice, working with the boys, working with, you know, all of in your private practice and teaching as you have, what's your takeaway? What do you think about life and how we should live it? Or, you know, what message would you want to give to people?
We get one go at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what the hospice did for me.
Yeah. You
get one go at it. You hear the stories. You get one go at it. So you come home and it's like, I don't know, the kids have left something out, or so-and-so's, and we're human, so we're going to have our moments you know, whatever. Once you get some time behind you and you put some buffer and you sit there and go, does it matter? Does it really matter? You know, I'd love to say to you, I never argue with my husband, and we never, but of course we do.
Who would want to argue with the captain?
Well, obviously you wouldn't, and he doesn't wear his uniform all the time.
Does he not?
No, he doesn't. Well, only on special occasions.
Wait a minute. Aye, captain.
You're going to have him. You don't. It's the wink that worries me slightly, because he'll go, he'll be all like, he'll be all a flutter. But you know what? And equally, baseline, I would never sit and speak to anybody in a room and, you know, talk about self-care if you're not looking after yourself. Yeah. And I know this, again, these phrases are thrown around about authentic. I'm going to be mad. Just cut the bullshit. Yeah. If you're going to do it, do it. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to do it, don't, but then own it. And I think that's where, you know, therapy-wise, I'm very like this. With my own family, I'm like, either do something about it if you can, or shut up. Yeah. It's like,
some would say bombastic.
It's owning it. And I think it's owning how you want to be. Yeah. Owning what you want to do, going out into the world. And if you're going to put the work in, then don't apologise for it. I think you and I have said this for years. Yeah. It's apologising for doing what you would. Give it a crack, you know?
Well, it's putting your first oxygen mask on first, isn't it? Because then you can effectively help other people. I could do the entire speech for you
from my previous life as our cabin crew. Before you put your nose in. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, okay, so, a couple of questions.
Go.
Just one more, just on this subject, and then we're going to go to something else. What's people's regrets on their deathbed?
Oh,
because I'm going to tell you something. Go on, and then I'm going to make you wet yourself laughing. So tell me.
I don't know, and I don't know that I don't think that's ever a question I'd ask anyone. What's your regret?
So, no, but people don't talk about that. They
Not
don't say, "Oh, I wish I'd done that."
One, because I think death is like birth. I mean, and you know that through
everyone lives, everyone dies.
Totally, but more in as much as you don't know how it's going to be. So people might plan for certain things.
Yeah.
But my experience has been, if somebody sits next to somebody for like 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, they pop out to the loo, that person might die then.
Yeah.
Somebody else might go, oh, I was just going to pop in for the day, and they've got, it's going to happen how it's going to happen. You do the best you can with those things. Yeah. Say what you need to say when you got the time to say it.
Yes.
Tell the people that you love them. Get that bit out. Understand that stuff whilst you can. And I think that's where, as horrible as people having diseases and illnesses and whatever, you get some run up. People say to me, it's been said to me many times, surely it's easy just like that. You switch up, heart attack or what. I don't know what's the best one for that, because people go, well, it was okay for them then. I didn't want them to hurt. But people then hitting grief like that, when there's been a long period of grieving, my dad's not well. We are grieving losses of him all the way along, but he's right there. So I get to say all the stuff I want to. I get to make sure he's heard how important he is to me and my kids, and spend as much time as I can with him. Yeah. Because I don't know, he's like, my dad's convinced he's not getting him, by the way, just in case you wondered. He's not having any of that. But, it's that part to it. So, yeah, just tell the people that you love them. And if stuff makes you feel like shit, maybe think about not doing it.
Yeah. Make changes.
Or the people that,
Be
literally
brave, do scary things.
Counselling is about change and movement.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting in someone's
evolving, isn't it?
You say to people, what are we doing then?
Yeah.
If you don't want to change anything, what are we doing here? Because ethically, you've got to be doing something to be taking someone's money. Yeah.
On a bit of a sappy note, and I don't want to talk about it too much because I'll probably start crying, but, with Daisy, our dear Daisy that we lost, who was my beautiful goddaughter, she taught me in her death that it's the people in your life that matter.
Totally.
That's it, 100%. But the funny thing that I was going to tell you was I was in the kitchen this morning with Grant, my husband, and my son-in-law, Sam. And we were having a coffee, and I said, I'm going to do this podcast and I'm going to have Tina. And I said, one of the questions I'm going to ask is what people's biggest regrets are, like on their deathbed because of her work in the hospice. And Grant said, you are going to love this.
What if I don't laugh? I feel really bad now in case I don't laugh. Go on.
You will, right? He said, I read somewhere that it was, I didn't have enough sex in my life. And I went, that's a you thing. And I said,
with yourself. You should have added that. Off you go then.
I just honestly just made me laugh so much. And I said, wait till I tell Tina that she's going to die laughing.
I mean, I think, but that's the point. You got something to do. You got time to do something about that, Grant. I put that one across to you. Got time to do something about that.
And Sam said, I think it would be, people would be saying that they wish they'd travelled more. And I said, I don't know you can say that. I said, because my grandmother, my Irish grandmother, couldn't understand why people went on holiday abroad.
But that's Sam's thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's equally, the trouble is, I don't know if you'd agree, as you get older, a lot of those bumper stickers make sense.
Yes.
Don't have any regret, but it's individual. For your grandmother, it's been around the people that she loves, with the stuff that she needs. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying to you from the very beginning about, it's what makes each person happy. Yes. So when you say family, it's going, okay, so one of the experiential things we do with the new people coming in to maybe become counsellors, we put the word home up, and we ask them to just draw what that is to them. And it is so different.
I bet it is.
For everybody.
Yeah.
And it really throws some stuff up for them.
Yeah.
That they're like, I didn't even think. And when you do things creatively, if you actually let yourself go, and was crap at that. I had to really trust myself. And then you can't get it wrong. A bit like you can't do it wrong. It's so different for everybody.
What's that thing we were talking about before we started the camera rolling, and you said that sometimes you ask people what animal they are. What's the significance of that?
That came, it's a sort of a supervision tool, if you like.
Yeah.
There's certain things, and it's like anything. It's a bit like when we're trying to, we never interpret people's, art therapists do, but if people do something, it's sometimes just a line. They've drawn it like that because the pen's running out. It doesn't always need to mean something. It just digs into that other little part of somebody. It's like saying to somebody, so new counsellors, when they come to me as a supervisor, will rattle off, and I said this, and they did this, and I said this. That doesn't help me at all. What was going on for you? Why did you ask that question? We're looking at what the human connection rather than the content on the top, because that's where the work comes. Those extra layers is where, what were they actually saying to you? What was going on for you? And if the counsellor's pulled out of shape, or it's just working on so many different layers with that. With regards to the animal thing, it's a great one as a supervision tool. If you had to think of them, so if you can imagine, and somebody said, and we do the same if you've got like a box of toys or whatever, and you get something that depicts that person, you could pick up a stone, that's my sister or my so-and-so, or that's my grief. It can be just sort of like, it's like a pussycat. So what is a pussycat? Oh, they're soft, they're this, they're that, but they've got sharp claws. Or, it's a little rabbit. It's just sit there and they just want to be, whatever your understanding. I'm going down it like that. It's like a rabbit, look. But, or, oh, God, they were an X or a Y.
I just thought that immediately you said to me, I thought of an elephant. So that means that I'm large, got a huge trunk.
Oh, I say nothing. But is that, why elephant though? So this is interesting. So if you could name it out, why would you be an elephant?
I just think of elephants as really calm and community and loving and
rare.
Oh, yeah. Some would say.
No, but can you see what you can do?
Yeah.
So we grab onto those sorts of things for a reason. But what an elephant is to you would be something else for somebody else.
To somebody else. I love that. I think that's absolutely excellent.
And I want to go back. You asked me about the hospice before.
Yeah.
And I had to go and do another induction day because I hadn't been there for a while, and I sort of sat there trying not to look bored. Yeah. I don't think I've succeeded. But they had a list of what people might expect to see there. So people, they're fantastic because obviously it's run by volunteers most of the time. So that's the majority. So there's people that are coming up to going to work in the shops, and some that are going to work in some of the tech stuff, and people who work in the gardens and all various things, just giving up their time, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But they had a list of what people might see, and I actually put my hand up, which I don't normally. I was going to sit there with, like not be whatever.
I can't believe that for a minute.
I did. No, but I did because I didn't want to come across, because I'd worked there for 10 years before, and then we're all sitting there with people. I think you're fine. But the other, what I felt I had to put was one other thing I saw there was, and without sounding gushy, was love. And they looked at me and she said, oh, and I said, honestly, I've seen it in so many different shapes and forms of love, because people suddenly go, this is it, isn't it? And you're like, yeah, it is. Like, this is the time that you don't get this again. Like, you do it now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So putting that into my idea of 360 health, in order to be fully healthy, you've got to have some sort of interaction and love.
People.
Yeah.
I mean, we need people around us, but we need people around us that see us. And if you come away from an interaction with somebody and your system, you were asking before about this, your system's going, your body, your gut's rolling, and you're just sort of feeling it, you've got to say to yourself, what am I doing? Why am I doing this to myself? What is that about? And sometimes you've got to work it out. The lovely captain and I have rules. There's certain subjects we don't talk about past a certain time at night because it keeps us awake. Because we can both, somatically, your body's going, it starts churning. Yeah. So, you have choices in some. There's loads of stuff we don't have choices in. I get that fully. There's loads of people that have very little choice in lots and lots of things. Yeah. Grabbing a little bit of peace and something for yourself, if that's just a cup of coffee. Yeah. In the sunshine. Yeah. For 5 minutes when you're in the middle of caring for somebody. If that's just getting your nails done, whatever your thing is, but it's just finding that. And if you can do it around people that just make you feel good or get you.
I saw my dad yesterday. It was his birthday, and he was 78. And he was
the bit where I go, happy birthday.
Yeah. He won't be listening. He said, it's not my thing. It's not my sort of thing.
Rude.
And he said, I said, what you can do for the rest, because I popped in to see him at lunchtime. And he said, what you can do for the rest of the afternoon? He went, I don't know. He said, I was going to go out and do the beds in the garden. And he said, but I might just have a sit down. I said, Dad, just go and put a documentary on and fall asleep to it and have a little snooze. And there's no shame in that. And I think there's a shame that people have in rest. And I think rest is really important. And in my clinic, I talk to a lot of ladies, and there's a lot of ladies that come in, and it's a common theme that people feel guilty, especially women of a certain age, feel guilty for doing anything for themselves at all. And quite often, I tell them what I do. And if I feel tired, and if I have the time in the day, I'll set my phone on the timer for 10 minutes usually, but sometimes up to 40 minutes depending on how much time I've got. And I've got a chair like this and it's turquoise, and I sit in it like that. I close my eyes, and if I fall asleep, I've got the safety net that it's going to wake me up. But it is time where I reset, switch off. No one's coming at me, and it's just about stopping for a minute. And
You've
taking
listened to
pause.
yourself, though. You've listened to what's going on for you.
And I think it's almost like sort of meditative, but the refreshment I feel from that is absolutely incredible. So it's absolutely right. We've got to look after ourselves first. And so that's where counselling and EMDR, if people need it, is really important, I think, because it's all part of our health.
And I'd say to you that as much as the sleeping and that part will be fantastic and restorative to you, to me it's the fact that you give it to yourself.
Yeah.
To me it's the fact that you go, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this to myself. So we have it with some people. If they've managed to find...
Guilt-free.
Yeah, it is that. It's a case of we've said it before. I don't care what you put on my face. And I'm sure you do a great job in whatever it is.
Well, I do. I mean, look at you.
Oh, well, obviously, but no, but I don't, I genuinely, I go, what are we doing now? Like this or whatever, because actually it's giving myself the time to do something.
Yeah.
And I think, if you don't remember, my mum was a staff nurse at an A&E department all the time I was growing up.
Yeah.
Poor little latchkey kid, look at me. And my mum, she's fantastic. She went from working like that. Then my parents got pubs, and then my mum went back when she retired. She went back to do some agency work. So she's always worked her entire life. But she used to have this thing. My mum doesn't drink. She's one of those, she smoked like 3 cigarettes in her life. You know when they look funny when they're doing it. And she'd have this thing. I'm one of 3, and she'd just go, "Do as you like. Your mother's drunk," was what she'd say. She wasn't, but her idea was, "I'm out." And I've done it with my 4.
Yeah.
Now and again I go, I'm not playing today. I'm knee deep in 4 kids, as you were with your guys as well. Yeah. Having those days where you go, it's not happening today. I'm just, the battery's out. Yeah. Eat what you want from the fridge. Yeah. This was when they were older, so obviously not when they were crawling around the floor. Yeah. And I do the same now. Yeah. If I'll have days where I work at 300 miles an hour, you throw me a busy schedule and I'm your girl. You give me some gaps and I'll take those as well. And I feel zero guilt. Yeah, 100%. Because of the other side to it. But I have, as you and I both know, we've got friends that don't do that. Yeah. And it worries me. Yeah. Inflammation you talked about right at the very beginning.
Which can lead to all sorts of horrible things going on.
But you got to do your own thing. Yeah. Do it at your own pace.
We've got to the part of the show where I do this thing, and basically you'll totally understand this. When I used to pick the kids up from school, and whoever else was in the back of the car, and I'd be, right, so what happened today? Don't know. What did you do? Can't remember. So basically I devised this little plan, right? And it's a little game that I play, and it's a good thing, bad thing, funny thing for their day. But I've applied it to the podcast. So I'm going to ask you, and it could be anything throughout your life, whatever springs to mind.
Oh, God. Okay.
It could be a little thing. It could be a massive thing. So I want one good thing, one bad thing, one funny thing. So one good thing first, please, Tina.
My family.
No.
You're going to make me cry now. But no, my family.
Yeah.
Got me.
Yeah.
Yeah. My guys.
They really are.
My guys in one space. I've got a son emigrating. Could you tell?
I know. We've spoken about it. I know. I mean, my God.
But loving that they do their own thing, knowing that was my job to make sure that they could fly, knowing he's going in those awesome, like he sent us photographs today. He's watching a bloody polar bear catching a fish at the moment on a boat. I mean, yeah. So that's I've got to say, that's all credit to you and the captain, because you are brilliant parents, and they're great kids. Wing it. You and I both know you give it your best bloody crack, and that's what I always say, that going sideways, but we say that to trainee counsellors and to anybody. As long as you're good enough, none of us are going to get it right every minute of every day. If you love them, we're going to get it wrong. We're going to make the wrong choices, and they're individuals. I think it's that bit as they get older. Yeah. They're individuals.
And they're perfectly imperfect.
Oh, God. Unlike, obviously. I mean,
obviously. We say this often, we are perfect.
Yeah, and I think our job at that point is you support them. You just got to support where they're at. And they, again, a bit like asking about the therapy. If they ask for the opinion, you give it. If not, you know. So, yeah, family. For me, my guys.
Beautiful. Bad thing.
Oh. Procrastination. No, actually, that's not true. I think, what's my bad thing? I'm just, you know me, I struggle with that because I don't, I bullshit.
Yeah.
Can't bear bullshit. That's the truth of it. That's on a personal level.
Yeah.
And that's when, if I feel that radar is going hard, I know I need to take a break from work because it's really easy for that radar to go into the client room without even knowing it. I can be a bit like, right, okay, so what are we doing? A bit like that, you know, which is good. On the one side, it sometimes needs that. But
right, sorry, on a side note, that's a question I haven't asked you. Okay. Just then we're going to get to funny thing, then we finish. But how do you look after yourself from all of the work that you do, looking after all your other people in your work?
It's part of the job is self-care, and we enforce that massively through all of the training, and you have to keep up with it, and you can tell when you have. And I think the thing that surprised me a few times with people asking about coming into the profession, when we do the like meet and greet, and just when people are interested to coming to do the training, how much money can you earn on it? You know, is it I'm looking to something I can do a bit easier or whatever, and you just, and people do things for different reasons. And I'm not sitting here saying, you know, and I've been lucky with the way I've been able to do it. I've been able to do it slowly. I've been able to do it when I'm ready. I've been, you know, but you don't, if you're doing this to become a millionaire, it's not the profession, unless you want to go on TV and do, you know, do all of those sort of things on that side. It takes time. You know, my go-to with the hospice before, in the old place, would stop at Costa, and it would be a sticky bun and a coffee, just to sort of decompress with some, and accept that sometimes it's going to sit with me. But supervision is a must. There's no other option. So
and
we have
that's
to go.
When you have to talk to
we all do.
people.
It's like a little pyramid scheme, if you like. So I'm a supervisor to a whole load of counsellors. I have my own supervisor who has her own supervisor, and I take my supervision work to another supervisor. So we're not just checking that we're working clinically correctly. My time, a lot of the time, is to say to that other counsellor, what's going on with you? Because although it's not a therapy relationship, if that person, part of my role is checking in that they are competent to practice, they're fit to practice. And if I've got somebody that says, well, you know, I need to do it. So, okay, well, look at your numbers. Are you the same counsellor for client number 1 that you are for client number 15 in the week? Chances are probably not. Or if you're fitting it in at 9 o'clock at night, well, where are you at 9 o'clock at night? How are you feeling at that point?
Yeah. I've spoken about this before with somebody else on this, about when you do your work, it's about giving your best of yourself to that person, because otherwise, what's it for?
I didn't work yesterday, and I very, very rarely counsel on my clients. I think they'd all, very, very rarely. I don't know whether it's I gave blood the night before, and I just felt like somebody pulled my plugs out yesterday. I don't think it was that. I don't know, whatever it was, but my head wasn't in the right space. And the phrase I use, and I mean it, is I can't be at my best for that. And each person deserves that, because if you're modelling relationships, it's too easy to feed into, you don't know what's coming from that other person. Oh, they're disinterested in me. Maybe their parents, they're letting me down. So the honesty is called conditions, unconditional positive regard, so non-judgment, empathy, and congruence, so honesty. So whereas years before you might go, oh, I was a bit late with this, or, you know, you bullshit about it, straight in. It's like, you know, this is what's happened. I thought I'd feel better by now, and I really don't. I'm so sorry. We're going to need to reschedule. And it's...
Yeah. It's been straightforward, honest, isn't it?
It's where...
No bullshit.
No bullshit. But it's so freeing.
Yeah.
It's so freeing. So you asked about family stuff. Sometimes when it's awash with bullshit, I have to sort of go, and I'm removing myself from that. I'm just going to step back from that one, because this is my, you know.
Right. Okay. We're going to finish. What's your funny thing?
What's my funny thing? My dogs. I love my boys. You know I do. I've got my two puppies. I've got my 2 German Shepherd boys, Otis and Marvin, and they harass my big boy Gus like great Uncle Buck. But I love watching them because they're like fanboys with him. He comes in, he's this big lumbering German Shepherd, and these two and one of them literally flips himself, and that will make me smile every time. It makes me smile with those, and they brought a lovely little energy into because I lost my baby girl, my big girl, a few months ago. So it's been a lovely new energy. Hadn't quite appreciated doing puppies again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. We're in
singing to the choir.
boat,
Yeah. So that's been it. And I think I said to you, about a month after we got them, somebody said, "Oh, you shouldn't get them from the same litter." We were like, "Oh, a bit late."
Yeah.
Can't really give one back. But no, I can find things that make me laugh.
Yeah.
We laugh at the traffic guys. You know, the ones where you all think it's a policeman.
Yeah.
And then it's the black one. It's the traffic.
The community people.
So I always say, no, the cars. You know, the cars that do the thing, and it's obviously the police cars are green and yellow and whatever, and then you've got the ones that are black, so they're the traffic whatever. And we call them Martin and Jeffrey, because we said they must be. You go, oh my God, it's just you. Can you imagine them walking in a party? Oh, it's just you, like that. So that made us both laugh yesterday. We realised that we have to stick together, me and the cat too, because nobody else will understand me.
Tina, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on. It's been amazing.
Thank you for asking.
I knew you would be.
Well, I don't know about that, but thank you. It's been lovely sitting having a little natter with you. We'll do that later.
Yes. Thank you for watching this episode of Practicing Human. It's all right, wasn't it?
Managed.
I'll see you next time.